Hi listeners, Howard and I spoke with the new managing partner of a tech-forward Northwest AmLaw100 firm. We discussed how their platform is buzzing with excitement over tech innovation and application internally, including the encouragement and influence of their Seattle clients as they explore how tech will make them better attorneys. Enjoy. So welcome, Jamie, to the Future is Bright podcast. It's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here with you guys this morning. Thank you.
Jamie, would you do my audience a favor and just do a quick intro on who you are and where you're at right now?
Sure. My name's Jamie Drozd. I'm the managing partner at Davis Wright Tremaine. We are a firm with offices on both coasts of the U.S. I have previously served as in a variety of leadership roles at the firm. As a practicing attorney, I was a commercial litigator focused on consumer class action defense. My practice really focused on anything that had any sort of a consumer protection bent. And so recent class actions that I worked on ranged from working on gaming apps, like social gaming apps, to privacy-related class actions, things that looked like a lot of lawsuits regarding metapixels information that was, or not the metapixel necessarily, but like sorts of technology. And I focused on that. I have been at Davis Wright for coming on 10 and a half years. Prior to that, I was at a mid-sized firm in Seattle, and I started my career at Goodwin in Boston. Okay. I am originally from Southern California. I went to law school and started practicing in Boston and came to Seattle in 2004. And prior to stepping into the managing partner role, I also held a number of roles at the firm, including that I was co-chair of the firm-wide commercial litigation group, and I was vice chair of the firm's executive committee. I also was previously co-chair of the firm's women affinity group, which was a really fun thing for us at Davis Wright. I am the first affinity group lead to accede to the managing partner title. So that was a nice thing for the firm to celebrate.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're 6 months in approximately.
You're still in the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long that lasts, Howard. I might have hit it, but I always say right now, I've been in the role for like 3 seconds, but I think I'm not able to say that quite anymore.
And it's probably safe to say you're not practicing law. Is that correct? Or are you still in cases?
Yeah, no, that's right. At Davis Wright, this is a full-time role, and it's proven to be that and more. So, fortunately, I was able to transition my entire caseload to other partners at the firm who are very capably handling matters for my former clients.
Jamie, did you ever think you were going to be in this role?
No, I always say that I feel like it was some advice that I heard given to a friend of mine who is really interested in politics when they were younger, is you can't really you don't plan your life to become the president or to become a congressperson, right? Yeah. You don't plan your life to become the managing partner. And if you are, then you're probably not doing the things you should be doing in order to successfully actually have that role. So no, I had a very successful litigation practice. I really enjoyed the contributions I was making to the firm in the leadership roles that I was in. But I guess the other thing I would say, though, is I have been in leadership positions for my entire life. And it is interesting in this role to find how far back I harken back to leadership lessons I learned in middle school and high school leadership positions that I kind of, in one way or another still put into practice today in this role. So, in that way, I'm well prepared from a lifetime of service, but I certainly didn't plan to do this.
May I ask who inspired you? What's in the genes or the DNA that led you to be such a leader, or the people that surrounded you?
Yeah, it probably, I mean, this one might sound a little cliche, but honestly, my parents, both of my parents were first generation college from their families, and they really worked hard. And I think taught me the value of working hard, of thinking about people in decision making. I really credit both of them for doing that in different ways. My dad is an attorney, and my mom is a forensic psychologist.
Okay.
And so I think that seeing them kind of the value of work and hard work ethic, and then at the same time, in their own ways, they both have owned their own small businesses at various points in time.
Okay.
And seeing them in the way in which they treated the people that they worked with, or in some cases worked against, that's probably my biggest inspiration is them, and just and trying to, I don't know, it sounds very cliche, especially, for an adult child of parents, but, in some ways you're always hoping you're making your parents proud of who you are. And so I think they were great role models, and I take a lot from them.
Jamie, I'm curious, have you played team sports in any time of your background? Because usually people in leadership roles have that somewhere in their distant past.
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, and so like lots of good Southern Californians, I swam. I swam competitively through high school. I was good enough to swim competitively for high school. I always joke and injure my shoulder my senior year, but not really good enough to consider a big surgery to repair that. So, but that was where I found a lot of camaraderie and all of the things you get from being on a team. I also on a complete other end, though, I danced as a child and through high school. I was a classically trained ballerina, which we're sitting on a podcast, so you can't quite appreciate this. I'm about 6 feet tall, and so that was really odd. I stopped doing that, I would say my sophomore or junior year of high school. I think that my sheer height made that not a desirable endeavor to continue.
Wonderful.
But I would add that as an adult, like I call myself kind of an exercise schizophrenic in terms of that, like I just moved from like one thing to another for like 3 or 4 years at a time. So I've raced triathlons.
Oh, wow.
Just Olympic distance. So no Ironmans or anything.
No craziness.
Yeah, I did that in my 20s. My roommate, who is a lawyer in my early 20s as well, we decided we needed a social circle outside of a law firm. And so we decided, we'll go train triathlons with a triathlon group. And I don't know why we thought that was a good idea. We were like, first and second year associates at a huge law firm. But,
Are you still that active today?
I think I definitely went through like a pandemic phase of where my Peloton bike was my best friend.
Right.
And I've emerged and am now kind of I'm doing a lot of Pilates these days and stuff. I've reemerged because I do enjoy being in actual like classes with other people. I realized I feel like I did my solid time in my basement with that bike. So
done your time.
And so it's worth noting that you're the first female chair executive at the firm. Is that correct?
The first female managing partner. We have had 2 female chairs of our executive committee before.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's exciting. Exciting to stand on the leadership of a lot of other women at this firm before. Davis Wright has an exceptional record of women in leadership roles. It just so happens we haven't had one in this role before. So I am the first, and no doubt I will not be the last.
Would love to hear what's on the agenda that you're looking at in the term that you have, which is how long? How long is the term for you?
We don't have official terms, so.
Okay.
But I think kind of generally our managing partners serve about 5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years. Okay. So over the next 5 to 7 years, I'd be curious to hear what you're hoping to accomplish. There's going to be lots of topics around this, but one we can start with is maybe growth and what that's looking like for the firm.
Sure. So, I think like a lot of other law firms, we're focused on where we sit in the market, in the kind of ever-changing consolidation, I think it's fair to say, of the legal industry.
Yeah.
For us, though, we might take a slightly different bent on it, and that it's actually we have a strategic plan that we're almost midway through. It's a 5-year plan,
okay.
and it's actually one of the opening lines in our strategic plan is that we're focused on growth, but not for the sake of growth or reaching some critical mass. So we're not looking to just enhance headcount. Headcount enhancement will likely come as a result of other things we're trying to do. But, we're really looking at how do we enhance our ability to serve our clients. And we really want to build on and augment our existing expertise and the client service that we provide. So we kind of have a two-prong approach to growth. The first thing is we're focused on industries. We're really focused on a couple of key industries, technology, financial services, media entertainment, energy. I always forget the last one, which is not the least, food and beverage. And the common thread across all of these is they're kind of a complex web of regulation at both federal and state levels, sometimes very different regulation, by the way, in those industries at those levels, and then constant kind of technological disruption and evolution. So for us, we've seen growth happen in those, and we see real opportunity to continue that growth. The second area of focus is geographic. So we're really focused on maintaining our top of market position in the Seattle market. The Pacific Northwest has become very attractive to many law firms recently. But we have such a history here and such strong relationships with Seattle-based clients that go back truly to those clients' founding. And so we really feel like we're embedded in the community and just privileged to call Seattle home. And so we are focused on continuing to strengthen that. And I think, I point to 2 hires in the last year that really show that. So James Siegel, who came over to us from Morrison Forrester, he is an appellate lawyer, a former Supreme Court clerk, who is really just upping our game in the appellate work that we're doing across the firm, across practice groups. And then also Batur Oktay, who just joined us in January. He formerly did the work at Starbucks for their intellectual property group. He went in-house to another company after that and has come to us. He is a trademark expert, and that touches a number of our clients who are in technology. So that's kind of Seattle. Yeah. And then we're focused on growth also in continued growth in California, New York, and DC. And why is that? It's not because that's, where we think it's nice to be. It's because that's where our clients have the most needs. Mm-hmm. So we're really looking to continue to add to our heft in those areas.
Yeah. And Jamie, I saw the firm seems to be pretty active in the AI space as well. I saw the release about Codex and Stanford University. I was wondering what was the driver behind something like that going forward?
Yeah, so I think what it is we see ourselves in this kind of sweet spot in the legal industry where we are a firm that is of significant size, but not so big that we're kind of strapped down by too many rules or obligations. And so we see ourselves as being able to be an innovator and disruptor in the legal industry, and embracing technology, and AI is one of those. I think it's interesting because I've read a ton, especially since taking this role, about kind of what AI is going to do to the legal profession. And I don't think AI is going to take over lawyers' jobs, but I do think that lawyers who aren't using AI will have their jobs taken over by lawyers who are using AI. It's here, it's at our doorstep. And so there kind of comes a choice of either you decide that you're embracing it or rejecting it. And we have jumped full into the embracing mode, and Codex is a great example of that. The idea for that was this partnership where we get to innovate to find ways to better serve our clients. And that's what the Codex relationship is all about. just last week, we did a firm-wide hackathon with our legal assistants.
Cool.
And they came together, like legal assistants from throughout the firm came together on a voluntary basis. The participation was close to 75% of our legal assistants chose to do this. And the whole point of it was to brainstorm ideas about ways to improve legal assistant workflows using AI in ways that would better the way in which we ultimately serve clients. And so I think it's just a really good example of kind of how we can use AI to empower our people and to amplify our capabilities. I think also on AI, there's kind of the end of how are we going to be better for our clients, right? We have clients who are demanding the use of AI. And so what have we done? Well, we've developed some of our own internal tools, right? I think one of the things that's been a little bit of a touch point on AI is kind of how lawyers, right, who obviously we've got, mounds of confidential information that cannot be shared, how we interact in tools in a way to preserve our most basic ethical obligations. Yep. And so one of the things here is we've developed a whole suite of tools. I think we have 9 or 10 at this juncture. The largest is the kind of large language model, DWT.ai. And that's a chat bot kind of thing where we just go in and we can ask any question. It can help you write a better email or better letter or whatever. And then we have some that are really specific. So Prose, which is our double award-winning writing program. It's super cool because what they do is they took litigators who write a lot, right? And you can go in, you can put a brief, you could put a letter, you can put an email in, and you choose what you're doing. And you can say, I'm working for Jamie, and I'm an associate working for Jamie, and please provide suggestions to my brief for how Jamie would want her brief written. And many of our partners have style guides, and so those style guides are uploaded into this, as is all of their previously written briefs and work product. And it doesn't change it for the associate, but what it does is essentially think of like comment bubbles. It'll say, Jamie doesn't like starting her sentences with this word, right? Or Jamie doesn't like passive voice. Please change, right? And so it's a really interesting interactive tool that ultimately up-levels the draft that the next person who's seeing it is getting. We do all have a joke that, we have extraordinary partners of ours who, after, many, many years in service is retiring. And we all joke that we're all just going to use his, because he's such a beautiful writer that you're just like, everybody could just write like him. That'll be better. But, also we've used this for pro bono work too, to be able to impact more people positively. We have a tool that's working on that. We also have a tool that's helping us with RFPs to respond to them more effectively and efficiently too.
Jamie, is the drive coming from the client side predominantly? Is that where you're seeing kind of the change in the marketplace to to ask the firm to be more innovative around using kind of technology and specifically AI and as you've been at the firm?
I think there is a drive from clients, but I'm not sure that's where the drive is coming from, Howard. I think the drive is more internal, is that we have a partnership that is engaged, enthusiastic, and excited. And I kind of, you feel the buzz in the air here. Like I've worked at law firms, not at startups, so full disclosure there. But it feels more like that innovative, exciting culture here where that's rewarded, where it's recognized, where, you're hearing about someone down the hall from you who had this idea to do something. You're like, gosh, where could I think out of the box to either better serve clients or to better train lawyers who are here, that next generation. So I think it's really internally driven. And is just a ton of credit to the partnership that we have. We are a place where I think is exciting to be when your career is kind of on the upward trajectory. We reward people who are entrepreneurs, and I think this is a natural extension of that.
So it's part of the DNA of the firm is what you're saying, really, is kind of differentiate the firm.
Yep, I think that's absolutely it. And I will tell you as a leader of that, it's an awesome place to lead, to be at a place where you just feel that excitement.
Jamie, just briefly going back to growth, you had mentioned geographies where your existing offices are. Are there any other geographies that are off the beaten path, but you see that as potential growth opportunity for your clients? Is it Texas? Seems like everybody's going to Texas these days.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm opposed to another geography. It's also just not high on my list, right? Yeah. I think it would really be driven by a client need or an exceptional opportunity that we see, right? And I kind of put that, Chris, in the same bucket that I put like if somebody said, how many people are you growing by next year or 5 years from now, right? I don't have a number because I think that the growth will come for other reasons. Mm-hmm. And I see it the same geography wise, right? Like it may be that we expand outside of our existing footprint because we find that's what's going to best serve our clients in the industries in which we're focused, or that we have an opportunity that looks like it's a really good match with what we're doing and who we are. So we will look at opportunities, but I wouldn't say, we're honed in on X city. But we're also not, sorry to interrupt. I also would say we're not, nor am I saying there are certain cities that we'd never go to either. So
understood. That's super helpful. So I guess as a secondary question to all that is Arizona on your radar? Because talking about innovation, technology, your client base, the industry shifting, consolidating, seems like everybody's looking at Arizona as an option.
Yeah, I don't know. You're really good at asking me to get me to name a state or an area, but I don't know if I have one. Arizona's not in or out. How's that for an answer? Yeah, but nor are any of the other states in which we aren't in. So
understood. And it's more in regards to private capital and what's happening with the ABS structure down there. So,
yeah, I don't know that it's high on our priority list. In all honesty, mm-hmm. It's actually I probably have a couple of repeat players I hear in terms of potentials for outside of our current geographic footprint, and Arizona is not really a focus for us right now. But that being said, if there was an opportunity that looked like the right thing and a fit for kind of where we're headed strategically, we would take a look.
Awesome.
So, Jamie, how's the transition been? I mean, obviously you were fee earning for years and years and years, and now you're leading the firm going forward. How's that transition been for you personally?
Yeah, I think thankfully, given my previous leadership roles, our vice chair of the executive committee, chair of the executive committee, and managing partner work closely together. So I feel fortunate that I kind of came in knowing a number of things that were in flight. That being said, there's a whole lot new about this role that I didn't know.
What are those new things that they didn't tell you about before you took the role?
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I don't know if it's so much what anyone didn't tell me, but some of it's about what I want to do and who I want to be in the role, right? And starting to lay the groundwork to execute on that. And for me, it's really important that, Davis Wright is a firm that way back to our founding is exceptionally transparent internally. So, continuing that culture, but also as part of that, breaking down and not having this kind of stratification between like the managing partner is sitting up here somewhere high. I am a partner along with my other partners. I'm just the one leading them. So, a lot of it has been discussions with partners and spending time having coffees, meeting with people, traveling to offices, which has been so informative and enriching for me in terms of, one, helping me to know the firm even better than I did, but also to really understand kind of the drivers, the things that are really working for the firm and for my partners, and the things that aren't, and where we need to shift and focus. So, that I think has been maybe a little bit different, maybe more time consuming than I would have given it credit for. But Yeah, I think otherwise, it's just there. There's a host of issues that come to my computer on any given day, and they're always different, and you could always have something just knock your entire day off, too. So, I think for me, it's been about really being intentional about, especially come the turn of the year. I kind of spent the first 3 months just kind of diving in, but I started off January with some really intentional goals about specific kind of growth initiatives and projects that I wanted to make sure were moving along and that I was kind of playing a role in. So I think some of it's maybe the surprising part is the keeping focused on the longer term and the strategy and growth of the firm and letting kind of some of the day-to-day be a little bit of a noise, tuning that out as a little noise and not ignoring it, but just not letting it kind of drive the agenda.
Yeah. Is the firm kind of predominantly on a 3-day-a-week basis, 4-day-a-week basis? Everyone seems to be moving back into the office. Just wondering, where are you on that?
Yeah, so in our Davis Wright way, we have upped to that commitment recently. Our firm, I have a theme for the firm for the year, which is engagement, and we kicked that off in January, focusing on engaging with one another, and a part of that was increasing our return to office to 3 days a week. So we are still a hybrid environment. We see the benefit of hybrid work for the people who are here. I actually went to a managing partners roundtable where there was a presentation on kind of return to office and where the sweet spot was in hybrid work. And it was a presentation done by a Stanford professor who had done a bunch of kind of academic research in this area. And in 3 days is kind of that spot where people get the benefits of being in the office, but they're also feeling the benefits of that hybrid work about, being able to sit in your sweats at home too. So we felt like culturally for us, that was the right fit. Previously, we were a 2-day-a-week expectation since we'd returned to office after the pandemic. But, it has been exciting and fun. We've seen people jump right in to this. The participation is been, honestly, when I saw the first stats come in about our in-office participation in January, it's probably the one thing in this job that I almost wanted to cry because it was so exciting. Our people get it. They get that actually interacting with one another in person brings so many benefits at every level, right? Partner to partner, partner to associate. It's so important for training our associates and younger lawyers to take over the firm one day. There is no replacement, and I'm going to speak as a litigator, but there is no replacement for sitting down and walking through a brief with somebody and explaining the reasons why you changed something, why you changed order of arguments, why you thought one argument wasn't as strong. Can't do that over the computer. It just doesn't get done the same way.
So, Jimmy, on that issue, how do you what are the lessons about managing in a hybrid environment? Because that's not easy to do.
Yeah, I think some of the lessons is letting people have the freedom to be home when they want to be home on those couple of days, right? But expecting the 3 days. We don't dictate which 3 days. We leave that to each person's professional judgment. We have some practice groups that have days they center around. So litigation's here on Wednesdays firm-wide. And we do that so that everybody's in the office and can interact with one another. But, I think some of it is being intentional about what you're doing, right? Is when you're in the office, it may or may not be the day that you're diving into your work in the most robust way, right? You should probably plan for some time to get into a conversation at the coffee station, right? To stop by somebody's office and just poke in and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while and we're down the hall from each other. How are you doing, right? Having those little conversations, those kind of micro moments throughout the day are good for people as humans. And it turns out they're also good for business too, because inevitably you end up talking and saying, oh, I'm dealing with this issue. And then the person says, I dealt with that issue and here's what I did, right? Or I've got this client that I'm working for and they're really looking for X. And this person knows somebody here who does X, right? So it's just, it's something that I think I give a lot of credit to us for having gotten through the time that we needed to be remote. But now it's time to kind of engage with each other again. And, I think one of the things we focused on, and when I brought up the theme of engaging with each other in January, is not just coming in and shutting your door and being on Zoom meetings, but really thinking about intentionally, what are you doing when you're in the office, right? Are you stopping by people's offices, trying to have coffee with a colleague once a week, eating your lunch periodically outside of your office in one of our common spaces, right? Thinking about gathering a group of people to go out to lunch, right? Just kind of things that I think pre-2020 were baked into how we worked that we've gotten out of practice on. And so it's really less about clocking in and more about the value of the time that you're in the office.
Yeah, it's huge. Jamie, kind of getting close to wrapping up, wanted to ask you just kind of one of our final questions, which is 5 to 7 years from now, so 2030, 2032, what would you have hoped to accomplish? Like, what would be that mission, or what are you hoping to see done if you were to transition the role?
Yeah, no doubt I will be transitioning this role at some point. So right. It not a lifetime appointment on either side. But, to me, it's going to come off of two main things: people and growth. So I will have been successful if the firm has grown. And what does growth mean? I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. Certainly it means, hard numbers, revenue, right? That we continue the exceptional results we have had in terms of year-over-year revenue growth. Yeah. So I'd like to see that continue throughout my term. It also is people, though, at the same time, right? We're not growing revenue at the expense of the culture that we have here. A couple of years ago, I was on the strategic planning committee for the firm's current strategic plan. And we went and interviewed, I believe, over 175 stakeholders in the firm.
Oh, wow.
And the thing that became exceptionally clear, absolute super majority of the people at this firm are focused on the culture we have. Mm. We are a place that is humane to work. We expect people to meet reasonable hours expectations, but people are able to have both personally and professionally fulfilling lives working here. And it's also a place where we care about each other. We're much more about teams than we are about individuals. And so continuing that culture, a culture that continues to value diversity, equity, and inclusion, that values participation in our communities wherever we're sitting, that is critically important to who Davis Wright is. So in ways that are less measurable, it's incredibly important to me when I walk out of this role that I have not only supported but grown the commitment to that culture as well.
Yeah, phenomenal. Well, I'm excited for you. It's going to be very exciting several years for the firm. Jamie, how can people find you, contact you, follow you on social media?
Yeah, great. I'm on our firm's website, which is dwt.com. I'm also on LinkedIn under my full name, Jamie Drozd. And just the trick is you got to spell it the right way.
Excellent. Well, Jamie, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Appreciate your time.
Thank you both too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I've enjoyed it too. Have a good day.